Discover the incredible transformation. Millionaire surprises babysitter celebrating alone on her 31st birthday. Lisa stared at the single slice of store-bought chocolate cake on her worn coffee table, its sugary frosting a stark contrast to the emptiness echoing in her small apartment. At 31, she should have been surrounded by laughter, friends, maybe even a small gathering of the children she cared for. But instead, she faced the dull hum of the television. She felt invisible, a mere caretaker in a world that saw her only through the lens of convenience. Each year, her birthday had become a quiet reminder of ambitions shelved for the needs of others, as if her own dreams had faded away like the candles she never got to blow out. As she cut the cake, her thoughts turned heavy. Years spent juggling multiple jobs to pay rent with personal sacrifices she barely registered anymore. She was the person everyone relied on, but who would rely on her? Her hands trembled slightly. The light from the television flickered, casting shadows that swirled around her, mimicking her internal chaos. Would she ever seize her potential? With every year that passed, the weight of self-doubt pressed down harder. She grazed her fingers over the edge of the plate, wishing for someone to see her, to recognize that the woman behind the babysitter was full of potential, gritty determination, and untold creativity. Tom, her neighbor from across the hall, had been silently observing her unwavering dedication from afar. A self-made millionaire, he grew up in a modest environment that screamed of struggle. He, too, felt that disconnection. He'd fought to reach his current height. But the shadows of his past weighed heavy every time he considered how many others like Lisa worked tirelessly to make ends meet. He'd internalized the guilt of privilege. The stark divide between their worlds felt uncomfortable. It was that guilt that had pushed him to confront the unbearable loneliness of both their lives, but could he bridge the gap? One evening, he finally found the courage to knock on her door, interrupting the stillness. The sound echoed in Lisa's mind like a page of her life she thought was unfinished. "I have something important to share," Tom began, voice steady yet vulnerable. "There's an exclusive program I want you to be a part of. A chance to uplift aspiring professionals." Lisa's heart raced, surprise mingling with skepticism. Did he really see her? Or was this a mere project, a good deed to ease his conscience? Questions spiraled in her mind, urgent and insistent. A million thoughts fired as the contours of his offer blurred in uncertainty. "Why me?" she breathed, overwhelmed. "Can you understand what it means to struggle day to day?" A twisted knot formed in her stomach as she processed his gaze. Was it pity or genuine curiosity that colored his expression? Could he understand how much she had buried her aspirations, how mere offerings sometimes felt like shackles? Before they continued, the tension of the moment weighed heavy, stirring old wounds within her. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As she returned to Tom, her emotions churned violently. Ignited by hope, yet weighed down by doubt, she found herself at an impasse. His offer dangled like a lifeline above an abyss, both inviting and terrifying. Would she merely become another pin in the elaborate board of his privileged world? The pressure built. Every word Tom spoke, every expression on his face, pushed against her uncertainty. The slice of cake in front of her became a bitter reminder of the potential she might leave behind if she didn't take this leap of faith. Lisa's mind ran rampant, leaving her directionless, yet somehow yearning to escape the shadows of doubt. There, at the precipice of a choice that could redefine her future, she wrestled with a daunting reality. Could she truly seize an opportunity so vital to her ambitions, or would she retreat into the familiar confines of her uncelebrated life? Lisa blinked at Tom, the weight of his words pressing down on her as if they were made of lead. Her initial reluctance began to twist into a spiral of curiosity and skepticism. How often had she dismissed opportunities before, believing they were never meant for someone like her. The thought of staying in her comfort zone, the dull familiarity of her life, clashed with the nagging desire for change that stirred in her chest. As he spoke about the program, Lisa struggled to focus on the details. She could almost feel the boundaries of her world tightening, stifling the dreams she'd wrapped in layers of self-doubt. Tom described mentorship, personal growth, the chance to explore passions often left unexplored, and a network of people eager to embrace her potential. The more he spoke, the more her mind raced ahead, envisioning a life where she no longer felt invisible. But with each new revelation, the voice in her head grew louder. It screamed of past failures, of how she allowed dreams to wilt under the weight of reality. Could she truly believe she belonged in a place built for aspiring professionals? The moment felt surreal, a collision of possibility and the persistent weight of her ordinary existence. "Tom," she said, her voice wavering, "what if I'm not cut out for this? What if I fail?" The honesty of her question hung in the air, a stark contrast to the manic excitement she felt deep down. "Failure is part of success, Lisa," he replied, his eyes steady. "If you never try, you'll always remain where you are now." That simple statement was a punch to her core. Yes, the idea of failing felt insufferable, but what about the failure of never trying? Frustration bubbled inside her. "You don't understand. I can't just walk away from everything I know. I have responsibilities. I've got bills, people counting on me. And they will continue to count on you if you stay stuck in this cycle," he pointed out, his voice softer but steady. "You deserve a shot to do something more. You've been that person for everyone else. When will you be that person for yourself?" The truth hit, seeping into the crevices of her self-doubt, lighting a path forward she hadn't seen before. Her mind whirled. What had she sacrificed? What would it look like to reclaim her own narrative? The relentless push and pull of her desires fueled an emerging resolve. She yearned for direction, for acknowledgement of her ambitions that had been simmering beneath the surface, ignored for too long. "I don't want to be a charity case," she finally managed, the tremor in her voice betraying her vulnerability. "I don't want anyone's pity." "Not charity, Lisa. Opportunity. I believe you have what it takes." The authenticity in his voice struck a chord deep within her. What if for once she allowed someone to believe in her? What if his support could become her stepping stone? By letting herself be seen, perhaps she could discover parts of herself she had buried under the weight of obligation. "Okay," she whispered, uncertainty flickering mixed with exhilaration. "I'll do it." Tom's face brightened, and for the first time the chill in Lisa's heart began to thaw as hope infiltrated her doubts. Yet, an unsettling thought settled in her gut. Would she truly be able to rise to the occasion? Would the imposter within her continue to whisper her flaws? Or could she silence it in pursuit of a budding ambition? As the evening descended, casting shadows that danced around her small apartment, she realized this was only the beginning. There was still so much unknown, still shadows to confront, but uncertainty now blossomed into something greater than fear. It was the spark of potential awakening. The next morning she awoke to the sound of her alarm clock, the dullness of daily life feeling more like an awakening than a burden. With every passing minute, the gravity of her decision took hold. What awaited her beyond this opportunity? Would it be success or another disappointment that awaited her around the corner? With uncertainty circling her thoughts, she knew the time had come to face her insecurities head-on. The moment of truth was inching closer, and she could feel the anticipation building. Would she rise to the challenge, or would her fears pull her back, once again shackled by the shadows of her past? The sun had barely risen, casting a soft golden hue across Lisa's small apartment. She rubbed her eyes, feeling both dazed and energized. Each tick of the clock resonated like a countdown, reminding her that today marked a pivotal turn in her life. The anticipation settled into her bones, mingling with an acute awareness of her past, the heavy toll of self-doubt whispering cautions in her ear. She pushed herself from bed, feeling the ground beneath her feet, a grounding reminder that her reality remained unchanged, even as she stood on the precipice of transformation. As she moved about the apartment, her mind raced with thoughts of the program, of Tom's faith in her, and of the storm of emotions swirling within. The mundane tasks of brushing her teeth and washing her face took on new significance, a subtle preparation for what lay ahead. "Today, I choose to be seen," she declared silently to her reflection, though the words felt foreign. Would she be visible beyond the confines of her self-imposed limitations? She headed to the kitchen, pouring herself a cup of coffee, its warmth invigorating her like the possibilities ahead. By the time she finished her drink, her heart was pounding, anticipation battling fear in an escalating symphony. Ignoring the persistent reminders of her insecurities, she dug through her closet, searching for something that expressed the new version of herself she hoped to embody. As her fingers brushed against a fitted blazer, she paused, recalling that the very fabric represented ambition, a garment she had long tucked away in favor of more casual attire. It felt like a metaphor for her life, easy choices overshadowing the potential for greatness. The decision made, Lisa slipped into the blazer, and as she did, she felt a beat of courage echoing through her. She took a moment to regard herself in the mirror again, adjusting her hair and straightening her shoulders. This was different. Today would be an embrace of the unknown, and she steeled herself against the fearful self-talk that had once defined her. She arrived at the program's venue, a vibrant community center brimming with energy. The room was filled with participants mingling, laughter echoing against walls painted bright colors. Lisa stood at the entrance for a moment, fighting the instinct to retreat, her heart racing in rhythm with the rapid thoughts of inadequacy. They won't want me here. What if I don't fit in? But just as she contemplated leaving, the voice of reason reminded her that opportunity lay just beyond her hesitation. She took a deep breath, stepped inside, and was greeted by a wave of welcoming smiles. As she began to introduce herself to others, Lisa felt the fabric of her insecurities unraveling stitch by stitch. Each conversation brought with it a sense of belonging, a recognition of shared vulnerabilities among those who, like her, were striving for more. An artist expressed the fear of revealing his work. A budding entrepreneur shared her struggle with imposter syndrome. Each story unveiled the universal journey toward self-acceptance. As Lisa spoke of her own path, admitting her fears, she felt the tension within begin to dissolve. The warmth of support from the group rejuvenated her spirit. Perhaps she had not ventured into this alone after all. But the deeper she delved into discussions about dreams and aspirations, the more the nagging question loomed over her. Could she balance the commitments awaiting her back home with these newfound ambitions? Would her responsibilities stifle her growth, or could they coexist, shaping her into someone capable of embracing both? As the day unfolded and she connected with her peers, the inquiry developed into a subtle tension, a realization that answers would not come easily. With each exchange, she discovered not just the potential within others, but also a growing reservoir of determination within herself. By the day's end, the excitement she felt was genuine, but so was the looming fear of what lay ahead. As she left the community center, a sudden discomfort surged. She wanted to embrace this new self, but the weight of her previous choices lingered, demanding to be addressed. Standing at the threshold, the night air cool against her skin, Lisa realized she faced a pivotal choice. Would she turn back toward the familiar responsibilities that once defined her, or step boldly into the uncertainties of her new aspirations? With the tapestry of her future stretching before her, she knew this journey was just beginning, and the time had come to take a stand. Would she choose to carve out a new path, or conflate her past and present into a bittersweet relic of what could have been? The evening air embraced Lisa as she stepped away from the vibrant energy of the community. But a storm brewed inside her. Choices clamored for her attention like sirens, each calling her back to what was familiar. She could hear her responsibilities whispering sweetly, promising comfort and stability, while dreams of new beginnings beckoned her forward, urging her to dip her toes into the uncertain waters of ambition. Still clad in her fitted blazer, she felt different. The tailored fabric was a shield, a promise of professionalism that she never quite allowed herself to embrace. Her heart danced uneasily between the need to maintain her current life and the desire to explore the potential of the one she envisioned. As she walked, she deliberated on what each path represented, safety and predictability on one side, and growth with unknown risks on the other. It didn't take long for Lisa to reach the small cafe where she often spent her evenings after work. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mixed with pastries wafted through the air. But today, her usual spot felt suffocating. She chose to sit outside instead. The street bustled with life. Laughter erupted from a nearby table, and couples strolled hand in hand. It was a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within her. As she sipped her coffee, she found her mind drifting back to the stories shared during the day. The artist's voice echoed in her thoughts. Art demands vulnerability. Perhaps vulnerability was key not just for one's creations, but also for one's life. A fleeting memory flashed through her. Tom's reassuring smile when he believed in her vision, convincing her that it was within reach. She thought of the responsibilities that awaited her at home, caring for her younger sister, and maintaining the fragile structure of their lives. Could she be the reliable sister and also pursue her own artistic passions? The notion felt almost laughable. Returning to her contemplations, she recalled a particular remark from the seminar. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. The words hammered against her mind, striking a chord deep within. Wasn't that the very essence of her discomfort today? Clinging to her past out of fear of failure instead of reaching out for something more. The thought of her sister struggling with schoolwork crossed her mind. Lisa had used her evenings to assist with assignments, believing it was her duty. But was this shaping her sister's future or stunting it? Lisa pondered whether modeling a life of ambition would impart a stronger message than mere caretaking. After all, what if she pursued her aspirations, not just for herself, but also to inspire those around her? A sense of resolve surged through her as she recognized the deeper truth. Her responsibilities could coexist with her dreams, not just hinder them. All it required was a recalibration of priorities and the courage to communicate her ambitions to those she loved. When Lisa returned home, the familiar clutter greeted her. Papers sprawled across the kitchen table, her sister's backpack carelessly tossed in a corner. It felt overwhelming, yet she had clarity now. As she began to organize, thoughts of enacting change ignited. She could hold a family meeting, lay out her aspirations, and discuss ways to create a rhythm of shared responsibilities. Writing down her ideas, she felt a renewed sense of authority over her life. This was her chance to break free from self-imposed limitations and craft a narrative that was uniquely hers. But as she mapped out her intentions, a flicker of doubt still lingered. Would her sister support her newfound resolve, or would resistance create a chasm between them? Just as she leaned into her thoughts, her phone buzzed insistently. The notification summoned her attention, a message from Tom, encouraging her to share her progress on the path they had discussed. The weight of her decision suddenly crystallized. She had to confront her fears head-on. Was she ready to articulate her journey to Tom and, even more daunting, to herself? With the buzzing phone in hand, another question crystallized. Would she stand on the edge of expectation and jump into the opportunity, or would she turn back, forever wondering what could have been? The moment of truth was upon her, and as she took a deep breath, a flicker of determination ignited within her. The next chapter awaited, trembling on the precipice between ambition and fear. Lisa's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the words from Tom lingering in her mind like a haunting echo. "Your progress matters," it read. Each letter seemed to weigh heavily on her, a reminder of the promise she had made to pursue her ambitions, a promise she was now close to breaking. Taking a deep, steadying breath, she opened the text thread with Tom and thumbed out a response. "I've been thinking a lot about what we discussed." The blue text bubble floated up as she pressed send. A pause felt eternal as she awaited his reply. Would he dismiss her thoughts as trivial, encourage her to stay in her comfort zone? Or would he propel her forward, helping her to embrace her potential? Moments later he typed back, "That's a great start. What's on your mind?" His response was inviting, and it gave her a nudge of confidence. No backing down, she told herself. She had made space for new dialogue, willing to shift the narrative of her life, much like she had done earlier in her kitchen. "I'm ready to talk about my goals," she typed, her fingers dancing across the screen as she laid out her thoughts. Ideas swirled within her, each more chaotic than the last. Artistic projects, workshops, collaborative exhibitions. She felt the blood surge through her veins as the spark of excitement met the chill of fear. It was time to transform mere ambition into action. The acknowledgement of her own aspirations felt strangely intoxicating. Jaw clenched, she envisioned what it might feel like to present these ideas to Tom, to share her sketches and concepts, to allow her vulnerability to weave into a new narrative that could inspire both her and her sister. After exchanging a few more messages, the conversation crystallized into a virtual meeting for that Saturday. As she closed her phone with resolve, she glanced around her room. The clutter didn't look so oppressive anymore. It held promise, just like her aspirations. In the following days, Lisa poured herself into preparation for her meeting with Tom. She became a whirlwind of creativity, sketching outlines for potential art pieces, including themes that intertwined with her life. She envisioned a project focusing on sisterhood, drawing from her experiences with her younger sibling, capturing the chaos, warmth, and worries all siblings shared. Amid her excitement, shadows of doubt crept back into her mind. Was her work good enough? Could she articulate her vision with clarity? These swirling uncertainties almost paralyzed her as the weekend approached. Would Tom see the value in the intersection of her art and her familial path? More importantly, would she find the strength to convey her dreams without faltering? Friday night descended upon her like a curtain, and she paced her room muttering to herself, "What if he doesn't take me seriously? What if my art isn't profound enough?" The self-doubt threatened to overshadow her determination, but she shook her head. She had a new mantra: vulnerability is strength. Sleep eluded her as she crafted various scenarios. Tom might love her ideas, or he might provide tough feedback. But in both outcomes, honesty remained her guiding principle. She needed to be transparent for the sake of clarity. Morning arrived and she felt a buzzing vibration of nervous energy. Dressed in her favorite blouse adorned with patterns reflecting her artistic style, she noticed the reflection in the mirror. A bit of resolve replaced the uncertainty she had carried until now. This was the outward manifestation of her inner transformation. Her attire acted as a bridge connecting her to her aspirations. As Lisa arrived at the cafe, the ambiance felt charged and alive. A wave of anticipation washed over her. Would Tom's eyes light up when he saw her ideas? Or would they narrow with skepticism? Before she could spiral deeper into her thoughts, her phone buzzed again. It was a reminder of her meeting with Tom. Her heart raced as she stepped through the cafe's entrance, ready to confront her future. "Okay, let's do this," she whispered under her breath as she spotted Tom seated at a corner table, his laptop open and eyes scanning the entrance. But as she moved forward, the trappings of her heart began to weigh heavier. Was this the moment she would seize, or would she step back into the safety of silence? Suddenly, doubt surged back, and for a fleeting second she hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. What awaited her was not just a conversation but a crossroads. Would she embrace the raw potential she had been igniting within, or cling to the familiar? The cries of her ambitions battled fiercely against the echoes of her fears, and as she stood poised on the edge of this pivotal moment, another question bubbled in her mind. Could she transform the doubts into stepping stones? With every breath, the vibrant atmosphere enveloped her, urging her acceptance of the unknown. Today would change everything, she realized as she took her first step forward. Little did she know the choices she made within that cafe would lead her down a road she could never anticipate. A confrontation with not just Tom, but her very self. Lisa's pulse quickened as she approached Tom's table. Sitting upright, he welcomed her with a bright smile that contrasted sharply with her internal tumult. The laptop was still open, but all she could see was him. There was a gravitas about this meeting, an opportunity wrapped in the casual ambiance of the cafe. Nevertheless, trepidation gnawed at her stomach. "Hey, Lisa," Tom said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "You look ready to dive in." Her stomach twisted. Did she look ready? She settled into her chair, adjusting her blouse, trying to shake off the spirals of uncertainty. "Thank you, Tom. I've been thinking a lot about my ideas." Excellent. Let's hear them. He leaned in, and Lisa caught the eager glint in his eye. It was time to set her fears aside, step into her own narrative. Taking a deep breath, she pulled out her sketches, laying them across the small table like a fragile offering. I wanted to focus on a series that captures the essence of sisterhood, she began, her voice wavering slightly but gaining strength with each word. I think there's a lot of power in the relationships we have with our siblings, and I've been wanting to explore that through my art. Tom's brows raised with interest as he scanned her sketches. Each piece reflected not only her artistic skill, but also her lived experiences. The laughter shared, the arguments, the shared secrets. He nodded slowly, clearly taking it in. This reaction ignited an ember of confidence within her. What you've created here is beautiful, Lisa. You've clearly put a lot of thought into it. His words were filled with genuine admiration, pushing her self-doubt further into the background. She continued detailing her vision, her ideas sparking with excitement. I envision interactive installations, storytelling elements that allow viewers to engage with the narratives, maybe even including audio clips from family conversations or voicemails. The ideas spilled forth, transforming her anxiety into passion, her voice steadying as she spoke. As the conversation progressed, Lisa faced the inevitable question. What challenges do you see in bringing this series to life? Tom's tone shifted to one of inquiry. It was time to confront the nagging doubts that had nearly silenced her. I worry that my personal perspective might not resonate with others. What if my experiences are too specific? The admission hung in the air as real vulnerability coursed through her. Uncertainty tightened its grip again, reminding her how easily she had considered retreating to silence. Tom paused, assessing her. But that's precisely what could make your work impactful, he replied, his voice firm. By sharing your unique perspective, you invite others to reflect on their relationships, and that depth of honesty resonates more profoundly than any generalized sentiment. His words were an unexpected jolt, illuminating a path she had not fully appreciated. She could hear her own fears masquerading as practicality. Did she not owe it to herself to explore this route, regardless of potential rejection? The tension shifted, and possibility replaced self-doubt. Do you think I could really present this to a larger audience? She asked, her voice softer but determined. Absolutely. You just need to build on this momentum. Why not start small? Take part in local art shows, engage with communities. He continued, outlining actionable steps, and with each suggestion, the spark within her grew stronger. As their conversation unfolded, the cafe's atmosphere shifted too. Outside, the wind rustled vigorously, echoing the tumult within her. She realized this meeting was not just about presenting her work, but embracing her own transformation. She wouldn't simply be a distant observer of her art. She would become a conduit of her experiences, her voice no longer silent. Their meeting came to a close, but Lisa's mind buzzed with new ideas, showing her that her fears had begun to morph into a map of growth. I'll schedule some local showcases, she declared, her voice emboldened by the clarity that sharpened her focus. I want to be a part of this conversation. I'll submit my sketches. Tom's eyes sparkled with encouragement. I can't wait to see what you achieve. You're just getting started. Walking away from the cafe, boldness coupled with exhilaration overtook her earlier hesitation. The future was still an uncertain expanse, but she had taken the first step toward her ambitions. As she navigated the bustling streets, a new thought ignited within her. She needed to reach out to her sister to bring her along this journey. But with this newfound determination came an unexpected challenge. Her relationship with her sister was complicated, filled with misunderstandings that she had long neglected to address. Would her initiative to bring her sister into her projects heal, or further fracture their connection? The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Could art become the bridge between them, or would it reveal deeper rifts? The morning light streamed through Lisa's window, transmuting her room into a canvas painted with golden hues. She sat cross-legged on her bed, her notebook sprawled open beside her sketches, and a soft hum of determination echoed within her. With her mind racing through ideas for her showcase, she felt both anticipation and the heavy weight of expectation pressing on her shoulders. Her sister, Emily, while often her greatest confidant, had become a distant shadow in recent times. Their bond had frayed, caught in the web of unspoken grievances and overlooked needs. The thought of involving Emily in her project was both thrilling and terrifying. Would this artistic endeavor heal old wounds, or would it only serve to unravel them further? She flipped through the pages of her notebook, the hand-drawn sketches filled with vibrant colors and intricate details, reminding her of the dreams she wanted to illuminate. Each piece mirrored a moment in their shared history, the laughter and tears woven into the fabric of her life. As an idea blossomed, she envisioned an art installation that not only told her story, but also invited others to participate, an interactive narrative filled with echoes of their relationship. Sweet resolve softened her apprehension as she resolved to call Emily. The courage felt unusual, a departure from their usual conversations, which often tiptoed around deeper issues. What words would she use to extend the olive branch? The phone rang several times before Emily picked up, her voice tinged with surprise. Lisa. Hey, Emily. I've been thinking about doing this art project about sisterhood. Would you want to be a part of it? The question tumbled out, surprising even herself with its directness. An art project? Emily's tone held a mix of curiosity and caution. What kind of project? Lisa launched into her vision, explaining the interactive components and the storytelling element she hoped to incorporate. As she spoke, she dared to explore not just their shared history, but honesty about the rifts that had developed over time. I think it could be a good way for us to reconnect, she added, her voice softening. I want to create something that reflects us. Not just the good times, but everything. Silence hung in the air, heavy with the density of unsaid things. Jessica held her breath, waiting. Maybe it's time we faced some of those shadows, Emily replied, a touch of vulnerability threading through her words. I'm willing to help. Just... No, it'll be difficult. Lisa felt buoyed by her sister's openness. A flicker of hope ignited in her heart. Perhaps this art project was not merely a showcase. It was the bridge they desperately needed. It would require courage from both of them, opening old wounds in the pursuit of understanding. Days turned into weeks as they began collaborating, venturing into long-held memories. During brainstorming sessions, raw emotions surfaced, prompting much-needed discussions. However, the path was laden with tension. Each shared recollection was a double-edged sword, bringing healing yet cutting deep. Lisa found herself grappling with emotions that had long lain dormant. Anger, resentment, love. It was a cacophony of feelings swirling within her, threatening to derail their progress. One evening, after an especially intense discussion that bordered on an argument, Lisa sat alone in her studio, feeling an urgent need to articulate the turmoil within. She painted furiously, the brushstrokes an explosion of color and emotion. The canvas became a reflection of the confusion, and amid the chaos, she discovered an unexpected clarity. Through her art, Lisa learned to channel her feelings into something tangible, a visual representation of her journey towards reconciliation. It was both cathartic and empowering, transforming her doubts into resolute determination. She began to realize her voice resonated far beyond the complexities of sisterhood. It was an avenue for self-exploration. One night she hesitated before sending a photo of her latest piece to Emily. It was the culmination of their discussions, a visual route linking their intertwined histories. Would it shatter the foundation they were building or solidify it? With a deep breath, she pressed send. As she lay in bed that night, she couldn't shake the pressure building within her. What would Emily think? Would this reveal their deep-seated issues or offer a new path? The next text from Emily would determine not just the future of their project but the future of their relationship. Would they bridge the gap between them? Or would this artistic endeavor unearth the divisions that still lay unhealed? The response lay there, waiting to unravel everything. The next morning, the soft chiming of her phone pulled Lisa from a restless sleep. Heart racing, she glanced at the screen, her breath catching as she saw Emily's name. A mixture of hope and dread coiled in her stomach. Whatever words awaited her might shape the fragile threads of their relationship. "Hey, Lisa," Emily's voice came through, warm yet laced with an undercurrent of apprehension. "I saw your art piece." Lisa's heart thudded in her chest, a blend of fear and excitement flooding her system. "And? What do you think?" she forced herself to ask, her voice barely a whisper. "It's beautiful, raw, but it's also painful to look at. It's a lot to unpack." The admission hung heavily between them. "I know," Lisa replied, her fingers trembling over her knees. "But I felt like it needed to be that way. I wanted to show the truth of our relationship, even the parts that hurt. Can we meet?" Emily suggested, a slight quiver detectable in her tone. "I feel like we need to talk about this in person." "Of course," Lisa agreed, a sense of urgency washing over her. "Where?" They decided on a quaint cafe halfway between their homes, a neutral ground that had once buzzed with laughter and memories. As she dressed, Lisa's thoughts spiraled. What would they bring to the discussion? Would Emily be open to exploring all their past grievances, or would the weight of the unsaid overwhelm them both? Arriving at the cafe, Lisa noticed how the smell of fresh coffee and baked goods provided a comforting backdrop to her anxiety. She spotted Emily at a corner table, her fingers fiddling with a napkin, a tinge of vulnerability etched in her features. It was a stark contrast to the lively sister Lisa had known. She saw the burden grappling for dominance within Emily. "Hey," Lisa greeted, her voice steady as she pulled out a chair. "Thanks for coming." Emily nodded, the weight between them palpable. "It's just, I didn't think it would be this hard to confront everything." With a deep breath, Lisa leaned forward, her voice unwavering. "What's hard about it for you?" Emily hesitated, her gaze drifting away. "I guess it's the fear that we've changed too much. The memories, they remind me of how close we were, but they also highlight the distance we've created." Lisa's heart cracked open at the honesty. "I've felt that too. I thought if I put our struggles into my art, it would help us face them. Maybe spark something new. Or rehash old wounds," Emily replied, an edge creeping into her tone. "That's a risk we have to take. Isn't it worth finding out whether we can heal, together?" Silence fell again as they both marinated in the truth of her words. The urgency of healing tugged at the corners of Lisa's mind. She realized that avoidance would only deepen the divide between them. Conversations meandered from their childhood filled with laughter to the more complicated emotions surrounding Emily's departure for college, a rupture that had silently festered. Each layer stripped away was a cathartic release, yet it was also a struggle, emotions simmering just beneath the surface. As they talked, Lisa felt a fiery determination igniting within her. She wanted to ensure this artistic journey didn't become another list of grievances, but instead blossomed into a means for growth, to express not just pain, but the joy of overcoming. However, even as they shared, nagging doubts resurfaced. What if this open dialogue led to confrontation rather than reconciliation? "Lisa," Emily interrupted her spiraling thoughts. "Are we allowed to be mad and sad but still love each other? Can we express all these emotions and still want to connect?" Lisa nodded slowly, her heart racing with truth. "Yes, that's exactly what I want. I want us to reconnect through the messy parts." A flicker of determination ignited in Emily's eyes, revealing that she too sought this opportunity for transformation. As the conversation deepened, the weight of their past began to lift. Yet beneath this newfound understanding lay an uncharted territory, a terrain of emotions yet untapped. Once again, the stakes felt higher than ever. Would they navigate this emotional labyrinth together, or would they falter at the precipice of vulnerability? And then, just as they were ready to delve deeper, Emily's phone buzzed, casting a shadow over their moment. A text, something urgent that drew her attention away. "Hold on," she mouthed, her eyes darting to the screen. Lisa's pulse quickened. What revelation lay behind that screen, threatening to shatter their fragile moment? The air crackled with uncertainty, leaving Lisa heart racing, wishing for the conversation to resume, yet fearing whatever trouble lurked beneath the words unseen. The weight felt agonizing. Lisa's mind raced as she studied the way Emily's expression shifted, the vulnerability replaced by urgency. What could be more pressing than the cathartic moment they were about to share? It felt like an intrusion into the fragile space they had created. Emily's fingers moved rapidly across the screen as her brow furrowed in concentration, the warmth of their previous connection evaporating under the weight of the unknown message. Lisa's sense of unease heightened. The conversation they had begun, one filled with hope and the potential for renewal, seemed to dangle on a cliff's edge, unpredictable and precarious. "Sorry," Emily said finally, looking up as if she had been pulled from a trance. "My friend is in crisis. I need to—" Her voice trailed off, uncharacteristically torn between camaraderie and obligation. Lisa felt a stab of frustration at being pushed aside for something that seemed to drain the energy of their meeting. "Is it serious?" Lisa's question slipped out before she could soften the edge of her tone. Plastic smiles and mere pleasantries weren't enough now. They needed to confront realities, not just rehash old memories dulled by time. "It's complicated," Emily replied, her eyes searching Lisa's for understanding. Yet, as she spoke, the words rang hollow. Lisa's next breath was heavy with the weight of all they had yet to explore. "Emily, we've been avoiding the root of our issues for too long." Lisa leaned forward, her voice imbued with a newfound urgency. She had embarked on this path of emotional confrontation, and now wasn't the time for diversion. "If it's not critical, I think we should prioritize stepping forward together. Can't we find a way to balance everything?" Emily glanced down, her fingers stilling as she took a deep breath. Lisa could almost see the wheels turning in her mind. Was she weighing friendship against familial ties, loyalty against personal needs? "Okay, let's talk." Emily relented, her voice small but relieved. As they turned their focus back to each other, Lisa felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. They had the chance to forge a new path, a moment pregnant with possibility. "Let's try to be honest," Lisa prompted gently. "What did my art make you feel? And how do you really see our relationship now?" "I felt seen," Emily confessed, a candor emerging as she abandoned her guarded demeanor. "But there was also fear. Fear that maybe I let us drift apart and now it's too late to fix it." For Lisa, Emily's admission ignited a fire within her. This moment was pivotal. If they could harness their fears and navigate them, the creative output of their struggles could be transformative. "It's not too late," she insisted, her voice steady, resolute. "We can create something beautiful out of this pain, but we each have to take the leap." Courage braided through their conversation, stitching together the fabric of their shared past. Their childhood memories gave way to the raw, unedited present. They touched upon restrictive beliefs that had silently seeped into their minds like invasive weeds. As Lisa painted pictures with her words, speaking of visions and colors spilling onto canvases, she noticed Emily's eyes brighten, rekindling old flames of inspiration. The fear caged in both of them began to melt away, replaced with the acknowledgement that their emotional scars could bleed into something exquisite. But just before their emotional immersion could bear fruit, another buzzing sliced through the air. Yet this time it was Lisa's alarm reminding her of the appointment with her art mentor. Time, that relentless tyrant, was cruel. Having harnessed the courage to dive deeper, now she felt the anxiety of impending departure weigh heavily on her. "Lisa, are you okay?" Emily asked, her tone perceptive, catching the shift in Lisa's energy. "Yeah, Lisa hesitated, struggling with the urge to linger in this newfound connection. "I guess I just wish we could go on exploring this right now." "Then let's not let time define us. We'll meet again soon, right?" "We need more time to explore." Lisa nodded, gratitude washing over her. As they rose, it became apparent that they had found a way forward, not just in addressing the wounds, but in strategizing toward healing the rift that had existed between them. Yet as they said their goodbyes, Lisa felt a lingering uncertainty. Would the resolve nurtured today translate into actionable change? Could they truly harness their emotional upheaval into the art that spoke their truth? Driven by a mix of excitement and apprehension, she made her way to her mentorship meeting, questioning whether the courage she had displayed in her conversation with Emily would echo in her artistic pursuits. As the door swung open to her mentor's studio, a sense of newness enveloped her. What awaited her behind that threshold had the potential to redefine her artistic journey. But deep down, a voice whispered, was she ready to confront not just her relationship with Emily but herself and the uncertainties within her creative spirit? The moment of truth awaited. Lisa stepped into her mentor's studio, the scent of paint and freshly cut canvas instantly enveloping her like a warm embrace. This was it, the moment to transform her aspirations into actionable steps, a platform for her voice. Her heart raced in sync with the ticking clock, every second pulsed with the promise of change. Here, in this vibrant space buzzing with creativity, she was poised to redefine not only her art, but her entire narrative. Her mentor, Sarah, welcomed her with open arms and a knowing smile. I can sense the fire in you today, Lisa. What's been stirring? Taking a deep breath, Lisa laid out her sketches, each piece a reflection of her journey, her relationship with Emily. As she spoke about her vision, an interactive installation focused on sisterhood, Lisa felt the words flood from her, no longer damned by fear. She articulated the hopes interwoven in her art, to connect with others through shared experiences, showcasing the tumultuous beauty found in familial bonds. Encouragement radiated from Sarah as she studied the sketches. You've captured complexity in its entirety. Art transcends mere visuals. It encapsulates emotions, histories, and ultimately, healing. Those words traveled deep within her, resonating with the budding confidence that had sprouted from her recent conversations with Emily. Here, with Sarah's guidance, she could reshape those initial inklings of self-doubt into empowerment, crafting a narrative that demanded to be expressed. As they brainstormed and refined Lisa's concepts, she saw a pathway emerge. They explored various mediums, perhaps photographs capturing fleeting moments, combined with the vibrancy of abstract paintings. It was in this amplified creative flow that Lisa recognized herself shedding layers of insecurity. She was no longer that invisible caretaker. She was an artist on the brink of remarkable expression. Within their session, Lisa conveyed her desire to incorporate audience interaction, allowing viewers to add to the tapestry of sisterhood by sharing their own stories. Imagine a wall where people can connect through messages or illustrations, she suggested, her voice infused with excitement. It will reflect our shared complexities and triumphs. As Sarah listened attentively, she nodded in understanding. That level of engagement will create community, allowing your work to resonate beyond personal narratives. It invites collaboration, creating a tapestry woven from diverse experiences. This realization ignited a rush of adrenaline within Lisa. She was ready to embrace her potential. By the end of her mentorship meeting, she had cultivated a roadmap, tangible steps forward that encompassed both her personal ambitions and her responsibilities toward Emily. Stepping outside into the warm air, a renewed sense of clarity enveloped her. The path was now discernible. She could balance both her artistic endeavors and her familial obligations, no longer constrained by the fear of choosing one over the other. She was transforming not just as an artist but as a sister, a caretaker, and as a learner of her own narrative. The next phase called for action. She needed to share her ideas with Emily. Immediately she texted her sister, inviting her to discuss the installations and the interactive components they could build together. The message was sent with a confidence she had never felt prior, an acknowledgement that their shared experiences could birth something beautiful and transformative. Days melded together as Lisa and Emily collaborated closely in the studio. The resonance of laughter and creativity intertwined within those walls, their bond strengthening with each creation. Conversations flowed freely, addressing past grievances openly while exciting visions sparked optimism for the future. Yet as they honed their ideas, insecurities still flickered at the edges. Would their relationship mature in tandem with their art? As they settled on a date for their first showcase, anticipation pressed heavily on both of them. The world would soon see their reflections, but would they be ready to face the scrutiny not just of others, but of themselves? As the evening of the showcase approached, Lisa felt the weight of her journey encompass her. The threads of vulnerability they had woven into their project represented more than artwork. It was an invitation to confront the complexities of love, growth, and connection. Standing before the canvas they had created together, Lisa felt a profound sense of pride. The installation showcased their collective experiences, raw and unfiltered, rich with emotions that told their story together. This was their art, an act of courage manifesting before a curious audience. Family members, friends, and even new acquaintances gathered, all drawn to the story unfolding through vibrant colors, handwritten notes, and heartfelt messages adorning the walls. As attendees began to interact, adding their narratives alongside hers and Emily's, a powerful sense of connection enveloped the space. This moment transformed art into a dialogue, a living tapestry of shared experiences that transcended barriers, a symbol of their enduring bond. Standing amidst the whispers of connection and camaraderie, Lisa felt the last remnants of self-doubt fall away. The accolades and admiration flowed freely from those who wandered through their installation, but far beyond that, she discovered something even richer. She was finally visible, her narrative validated. As she glanced at Emily, who was assisted by new friends engaged in creative dialogue, Lisa felt a rush of joy. The exhibition represented a firm realization of her professional aspirations and personal growth. She had stepped into her power, illuminating the beauty found in vulnerability, connection, and creation. The path that lay ahead was vibrant and uncharted, but Lisa was ready to embrace it fully. She had proved to herself that she could weave together the threads of her personal and professional lives without compromising her identity. Now, with her accomplishments echoing in her heart and the warmth of her sister's presence beside her, she understood that she could continue to develop, not just as an artist but as a truth-teller, a sister, and an embodiment of resilience. The journey had begun anew, and this time she could walk confidently toward the horizon, transformed. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next emotional stories that inspire. Leave a like now to keep the momentum going. Your support feeds the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about Lisa's incredible transformation and the meaning behind her art. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of uplifting stories like hers. Don't wait even one more second to spread the inspiration.